Hi, I'm Matt with Hoboken Horology, and today I want to talk about Rolexes. Are they worth it? This video is going to be more of a discussion video, mostly about Rolexes and if they're worth their money. I'm going to cut right to the chase and say, yes, they are completely worth the money. And my next reasoning will kind of detail more so why I know that it's completely true and why they are worth what they're worth. The first thing I want to say is the strategy of buying an older watch versus buying a newer watch. There are people who bought Rolex watches brand new in the 60s, in the late 60s, or even before that, and now they're worth a lot more money than they were. Even adjusted for inflation, they're worth a lot of money. And that's something that can be said too, is that if you buy something for a specific price, just from the rate of inflation, just alone, it'll still be worth more money down the line. Now here's the thing. If you bought an old Bulova, like a Bulova Acatron, right? And let's say you bought that for $86 brand new. Now today it might be worth about $100, maybe more, depending on the rareness of the piece and the quality of the piece and the condition that it's currently in and the fair market value. If there was a reason that model might be worth more or it's worth less if it's unknown. So if you bought a watch, for $200, that was back then, and now it could be worth anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000 depending on the specific model. If you bought an original Submariner, it could be worth a lot of money. Like the first Tudor sub could be worth a lot of money today. So I just want to make the broad statement, and this is a very broad statement, that if you buy something new, whether it's a Rolex or another watch, or an Omega Speedmaster or something like that, it could go up or down in value. It could easily go down in value because it's a new watch that's now pre-owned. If you buy something that's a vintage watch and you buy it for a fixed price, and assuming that you don't destroy the watch or the condition suffers greatly, if you buy a vintage watch for a fixed price, that price shouldn't go down from there. It should only go up. These things are being collected, and we speak in a sense that these collections are never going to stop, or collectors are never going to stop, or never going to die out. Where there are other things that people collect, that people stop collecting, and then the market, the value for them plummet. But I don't think that's ever going to happen with wristwatches, or if it does, then I don't know. I guess we're all out of the job, or all out of the hobby. But the vintage watch that's worth an X amount of dollars today, whether it be a $100 Bulova Accutron or an old Timex or old pre-ceramic Submariner from 1989, whether it's one of those watches, if it's worth a certain price today, it should only be worth more money in the coming years. And I think that's an old strategy, and I've used that for other things. And I've said that before. If I'm buying something that's old, that's worth a certain price, it should only be worth more down the line. It shouldn't be worth less down the line. Now, buying new versus vintage, it goes into that. It goes into that, it should gain its value. It should gain more value. If you had bought a GMT, a pre-ceramic GMT, the Pepsi that I used to own, if you had bought it when I saw them going up in price, I bought one because it was going up in price, and I sold it because I bought it and sold it because I bought it. It was going up. They were going up in price. Everyone said it's a bubble. The bubble's going to burst. I bought it. It was a vintage GMT. The price kept going up. Did the price go back down? No. They're worth even more now than they were when I sold it. It's supply and demand. There's no more supply. And if the demand goes up, then the only way that price is going to drop in value is if the supply goes up, which could happen with like a reissue or something like that. But it's very rare, especially with Rolex. Rolex isn't going to ever remake an old model. They're not going to do a reissue. So, or the demand goes down. And even if the demand goes down, there's still limited supply. So I can't say enough how much vintage watches can be worth and how old Rolexes are worth a lot of money, and they can be worth a lot of money. And is something like the Air King going to be worth a lot of money down the line? You bought an Air King for $2,200, right? Is it going to be worth $5,000 in 5 years? No, I doubt it. But you know, there are some watches that do. Look at the Daytona. I mean, 2 years ago, I was looking at Daytonas, and I was just kind of glancing around, shopping around. Today, I wouldn't even be able to begin to look at them because they're so expensive. So, you know, certain watches will go up. Look at the chronographs lately. They've just gone through the roof in vintage market. One day, someone might say, well, you know, the Rolex Datejust had such a beauty to them, and 36 millimeters is the new 40 is 36 millimeters, and then everyone's going to want to go buy a Datejust. So you don't know, but you buy vintage. You don't pay too much. You keep the condition good, you take care of your watches, it'll be worth the same price, if not more money down the line. So the value drop in new Rolexes will hold their value. Yeah, so basically the price difference of buying a brand new Planet Ocean from Omega, from the AD, and then selling it online, you're gonna lose a couple grand on it, right off the bat. It's funny, Nomos, like, I always thought that Nomoses didn't hold their value until I went to go buy a pre-owned Nomos and I realized how expensive they are. And it comes down to it, like, would I rather really buy a pre-owned watch or spend a little bit more and buy it brand new? And that's what keeps happening with Nomos. And I'd like to say with Rolex, it's unheard of, right? You can't even find them new. If you're looking for specific, let's say you're looking for the Hulk, which has gone up in price also on the pre-owned market, it's like some of these pre-owned sites are selling them as much as they sell for new because you can buy it right now. It's about that supply and demand. You can get it right now so they can charge whatever they want for it. And you know what? I want to say that there's so much I could say about this. I could make 10 videos about buying Rolexes, when to buy them, where to buy them, how to check their authenticity, how you know something's authentic, a good seller. There's so much I can go on about this, but my closing statement, my closing comments, if you get anything out of this video, I will say, if you haven't owned a Rolex, Rolex makes a great watch. And an older Rolex, let's say you buy a really old, mashed up, banged up Submariner, you bought a pre-owned, it was your friend's dad's or whatever, and you spent $4,000 on it. Send it to get serviced. If you were a collector, someone like me, I wouldn't want to replace anything. I don't want to replace that old dial. I don't want to replace the old hands. You buy an old messed up sub, you send it to Rolex. Have them service it. They will replace everything on the watch. It'll look brand new, and you basically have a brand new Rolex. Some case damage can't be repaired. There's like welding that can be done or whatever, but you're not going to spend that kind of money on a watch. At the end of the day, it's going to be worth more to get it fixed than it is to buy a new watch. But other things on a watch can be fixed. And these Rolex is a great company. They make great watches, and they're completely worth their money. They just are. They're completely worth it. Hopefully you got something out of this video. Hopefully it wasn't too much of a tangent. If you'd like me to go into more detail on anything else I mentioned, just leave a comment below and maybe I can make a part 2.